Did you miss me? I'm back again. Another segment here. We're going to dive now into Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Zeke is having a rough couple weeks here. Rough couple weeks. One might say it hasn't been his day or week, possibly even his year. But, you know, that tends to be the case when Zeke, a known partier, suddenly not able to really go out and party as much because of the pandemic, so he's kept indoors more. Now, he's still gone out and done some stuff as, you know, people have kind of pushed the boundaries, let's say, of actually following certain guidelines and precautions. And through whatever means it occurred, we know that Zeke, as well as one or two other Cowboys, actually did contract COVID-19. Now, with that being the case, that's basically as bad of a start as you can have. Pretty much as bad as you can have, because already now the NFL is still pushing as if it's going to continue. Now, they did cancel the Hall of Fame game, which is going to be played between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's gone. They've now postponed the actual Hall of Fame ceremony itself because of the pandemic. I have to choose keywords a little bit carefully because YouTube will demonetize, or in some cases, strictly limit any kind of ad revenue based on key terms or just phrases like that I use. So with that in mind, that's already bad, because if the NFL does get to continue as planned, Zeke now being diminished, even though he says he feels good, being diminished would be a major drawback for him if he does have that, whether it's losing any kind of weight or strength or anything like that. Now, based on the fact that he says he's feeling good, and from what we've seen of him in live streams, this video here where this frame actually came from is actually the video where he actually confirmed that he did test positive in that regard. It's not actually a still from his most recent controversy, let's say, at the very least bad optics. In this case, with Zeke, you have a situation where he appears to be in good health, but now he has to stay away. He has to basically stay self-quarantined, and there are going to be questions about any kind of potential impacts it could have to him physically. That's a bad start already. At the very least, locking in your house for 2 weeks where you basically have no interaction with anyone, that sucks. But then things got even more interesting, because Zeke had an incident at his house where I guess they changed pool cleaners. I don't know if it was a different company or if it was just a different cleaner, but they changed the pool cleaner. It was a woman instead of the previous guy that had been doing it. And Zeke's dogs, a Rottweiler and 2 bulldogs, pretty much mauled this woman. And she actually needed surgery because of the bites. The Rottweiler bit her around the arm and dragged her, it sounds like. And, you know, the bulldogs were in the mix as well. So lots of cuts, lots of bites, very nasty situation. Again, this is all just what's being claimed, what's being, I guess you could say, reported in this regard. So she had to go and have surgery. Police got involved, and now, of course, as you would expect, there's a lawsuit going on. The thing that is more troublesome, because we had something like this last year, actually, with Dak Prescott. Now, that wasn't quite the same. That wasn't a pool cleaner coming into his yard. That was actually his neighbor, her dog and his dog basically going at it through the fence, and she, trying to pull them apart, got her hand bit by Dak's dog. Now, I think a settlement was reached there. Nothing happened with it. It's not like his dog was taken away or put down. His was a pit mix. In Zeke's case, I don't know, but the person was on his property, and he's liable just based on them being on his property. And I don't know what led to the dogs getting to basically bum rush this pool cleaner. I don't know if she made a mistake or something to that effect, but nobody willingly gets mauled by a Rottweiler and 2 other dogs because they're looking for a payday. So through whatever means she was injured, unless it's gross negligence, even then I would say that they probably would find a settlement. There's going to be something like that. But Zeke, talking about the story on Twitter, then basically makes a reference to, and I'm paraphrasing, pretty much says, in fact, you know what? I think I actually do have the screenshot. One moment here. Zeke pretty much saying that... No, I don't have that exact one. Zeke basically saying, it's funny how people, rather than trying to make their own money, will just come after yours. Bad take, because again, in this case, on your property, mauled by your dogs, you're liable. You're liable, based on what we've been told. Unless this is just a complete fabrication, even then, if it's your dogs, you're in a bit of a pickle. So I don't know how they're going to handle that. But to basically, first of all, you don't want to comment at all. Second, you don't want to comment in a way that's just kind of hostile in that regard. Again, nobody wants to get mauled by a Rottweiler. So to me, it's a non-starter, even on that premise that, like, oh, rather than earn her own money, she just wants to take mine. Okay. So after that, Zeke kind of got quieter on that issue. That's good. But then we led into, now, I think this was last night that it happened, but the story blew up today. Zeke on a live stream saying, and I'm again quoting here, basically saying he was a little faded. Now, this launched a lot of controversy because, yes, the NFL has loosened its restrictions on marijuana. It's not testing as hard. That's how you have guys like Josh Gordon trying to come back. That's how you have like Randy Gregory trying to come back. A lot of these guys who are perennial positive testers for marijuana who keep getting indefinite suspensions and things like that. That's what's letting them come back in. It's part of the new CBA. And with that being the case, you have this opportunity now where players are able to enjoy it a little bit. But the optics still look terrible if you're Zeke, because it's like you're recovering from C19. You just had a story the other day where your dogs mauled a woman and then you looked very flippant and dismissive about it, basically saying she was just trying to steal your money. I'm paraphrasing. Not good. Not a good look. And then you go in and you say that. Now, that's the story everyone ran with, that's saying, hey, faded means high. If you look at the Urban Dictionary, that's, I guess, considered the top result for that. If you say you're a little faded, you're saying you're a little bit high. And so Sports Illustrated and all these other outlets run with it, and they're basically saying, oh, Zeke just admitted to being high during a live stream. And everyone kept saying, oh, Zeke forgot to turn off his camera. Oh, Zeke forgot to end the live stream before saying this. Oh my God, can you believe this? What a dummy. Like, that's what everyone was running around saying. Here's a couple points I have on this. With the NFL laxing its standards anyway as it pertains to marijuana, it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. Now, it's still illegal in Texas. That could still get him into trouble. But they're not about to haul Zeke away to jail, let alone with COVID, in that situation. So already a little bit lesser. Two, and this is what Zeke contends, he says that by faded, he didn't mean high, he meant drunk, because he had had 2 or 3 drinks during the live stream. Now, depending on your definition, that is plausible as well. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, for instance, actually saying, no, that is absolutely, in different cultures, whether we're talking about black culture versus white players or white college kids, whatever, it can mean drunk and not high. Fine. And if that's the case, okay, maybe it blew up for nothing and it's just the optics of, hey, Zeke is who he is, and because of this word that has a similar connotation to another thing that, still has a little bit of a taboo nature connected to it in society and the perception by a lot of people, that blew up and he's just annoyed by everything. Well, in his annoyance by everything, he's basically going out now and kind of raging against this. And he specifically called out Sports Illustrated, pretty much saying, because Sports Illustrated said in their story that he admitted to being high. And as he's calling out, no, first of all, I wasn't high. Second of all, I'm trying to remember what phrase he specifically used. He's specifically talking about... Yeah, here it is right here. Here's his tweet. Actually, I was referring to the few drinks I had, which I said during the stream. Doesn't that make this defamation? You guys will be hearing from my lawyers. He tags that to SI now. Now, defamation is a difficult thing to prove because it has to cause your character irreparable damage in the eyes of the community. It has to be proven that there was maliciousness behind it. I don't think you got that here. I think that this is all tout and all that because of the connotation. You could say, hey, bad journalism potentially by not trying to really verify this before sort of running with it. That's a different discussion. If you want to have that discussion, you can have that. But to say like, hey, this is defamation, they knowingly dragged my name through the mud, now it lowers my reputation within the community, I don't think that's true at all. Now, what would be defamation would be if they said something to the effect of, oh, Zeke got high and then went to go domestically abuse another woman. That would be defamation. That would be defamation because it's baseless. It's baseless and it's an attack on his character that's trying to paint a picture of him that would be damaging to his reputation. That's completely different than, especially in today's age where you're seeing more and more this kind of acceptance of, and and legalization of marijuana, to say like, oh, well, he was high and they mistook what he said when he said faded, which wasn't like it's not like he clarified it and said, oh, I'm faded, drunk. It's not like he said that. Because it's a misunderstanding and there's damn sure no way that he could prove that it was malicious or intentionally false or anything like that, there's no case. It's just Zeke kind of raging, I think. Maybe it's just a cumulative effect between his own diagnosis, between the lawsuit now he's dealing with and the potential, issues he could have with his dogs. Whether, if your dogs attack someone, you're at risk not just of them being taken away from you, you're at risk of them being put down. And especially when you got like a breed like a Rottweiler, that could be a very real reality there. So concern for his pets as well in that. And now this, where he feels like, yeah, I feel like you're twisting it. I don't know what the case is. I don't know if he actually meant, yes, I am drunk, a bit drunk while we're doing this live stream. I don't know if he actually was high and that's what he meant. And now he's just trying to fall back on a different answer. All I know is Zeke is a lightning rod. He always has been. When they drafted him, before they even got to training camp, you had the allegations. The allegations dragged out for a year, a little over a year. Then you had the 6-game suspension that cost the Cowboys in 2017. Then, the last 2 years, he hasn't been as good as he was as a rookie. When I'm talking about as good, I'm talking about the home run threat. I'm talking about the guy who, he is the difference maker. My stance on Zeke was always the same. I said you don't give him a second contract. And I damn sure wouldn't have given him a second contract when he had 2 years left. Because what you saw is the market reset back to normal after Zeke. Gurley got his deal. Zeke forced his hand to get his deal. Gurley's already been cut by the Rams, by the way. Now you got Zeke over here, and he's getting paid a ton of money. He's under contract. Basically, if the Cowboys wanted, they would have him like 8 years because he had the 2 years left on the rookie deal. And then he basically signed like a 6-year deal. So they have him as long as they want him. Now, they do have, because of the way the things are structured, they do have an out after, I think, 3 years. And now they're 1 year in. So maybe there's some wiggle room there. But Zeke, regardless, is the highest paid running back in the league. And that's a lot to be paying a guy when you're already investing as much as you are on the offensive line. Now, Travis Frederick retiring does bring down that number a little bit because now your center is not on that, highest or one of the 2 or 3 highest paid at his position players there. So that does open it up a little bit. But the Cowboys have invested a hell of a lot in that offensive line. Now they've invested a hell of a lot in the wide receiving core. They even got another backup running back behind Zeke who can really make some plays. I think he can do a lot more, Tony Pollard. I think he can do a lot more for them than they've given him the opportunity to do. And so I really want to see how they try to build on that this year. Honestly, I think the way you make Zeke more effective is to use him less. I think instead of grinding him down 20 to 30 carries a game, I think you use him more sparsely and try and get bigger bangs at different usage points. So that's a whole different matter. Point is, the Cowboys have invested a lot of money into a guy who there seems to always be something floating around. Always something. You had the St. Patrick's Day parade thing where he, even though it was a friend of his, he ripped up the girl's shirt to expose her breasts. There's always something going around. Punching out the DJ at a club. You know, there's always something. And it's hard to ignore as they stack up. Now, I understand with people contracting C19 the way that they have been, it's not like we know for a fact, oh, he went out and he partied, or he had a gathering that he wasn't supposed to be, or he was reckless, and that's why it happened, because there are people who do follow every precaution and still contract the disease or the virus. So you can't blanket say that. We don't know the how, so it would be irresponsible and unethical to project that. That's just a, put a pin in it. We have suspicions of what we think could have been it, but we're not even going to really lay that out or hang that at his feet. That's just a, dang, that's not good kind of thing. The dogs thing is a bigger question for me, and his response to me, which I think is more of a character type response. I think Dak handled it great in his position, and Zeke, now in a somewhat similar situation, handled it, I think, poorly initially. Maybe he responds better, but the initial optics are bad. And now this and his kind of petulant response, it's problematic to me. It's a distraction for a guy I don't think will ever be as dynamic as he was his rookie year. And, there's been talk where people have said, like, his weight has fluctuated. He's built more like a fullback now instead of a running back like he was as a rookie. He's said coming into camp the past 2 years that he was down at his rookie year weight. And, there's times where he just doesn't look as explosive as he used to be. I think the Cowboys, with a very heavy run-first mentality, granted, I say run-first. If you look at the statistics the last 2 years of their play calling, it's actually not like run-first is the dominant, but run-heavy, one of the heavier run teams in the league. I think you look at that, and I think that kind of helped mask to some degree his production. Now, again, I think he's one of the better running backs in the league. I don't consider him the game changer that our entire identity should be built around anymore. I just don't. I think that if I'm Dallas, I run out the last couple of years, because you're not going to be able to trade him at this point. The running back market reset. No one's going to get that kind of money again. And I think because of that, you run out what you owe. You've already got one guy ready to go in Tony Pollard, and you just pick up another one. It's a carousel, man. Your quarterback, you got to lock that down. Your wide receivers, you lock that down at least for a little bit. Other parts like your offensive, defensive line, you find the parts in that are worth investing in, you lock it down. Like, there's different areas there that you can look at in philosophies, but I think running back is one of the positions that you have the most flexibility to find production. You just have to know what you're doing. And I think Dallas would have been better off had they gone with a Jalen Ramsey cornerback instead of Zeke. I do. Now, I don't discredit Zeke's big impact to that 2016 team. He was a monster, and I think he deserved a hell of a lot of credit, as did Dak. But I think Zeke, obviously in 2016, was the motor for the vehicle of the team. But I don't think it's been necessarily that way since then. You looked at 2017, a lot went wrong, not the least of which was the offensive line's complete inability to protect Dak after the Atlanta game. And then Dak, yes, falling to pieces. 2018 started slow because they had no offensive weapons to use. Zeke was doing nothing as far as moving the ball for Dallas. They weren't scoring points. And then they made the Amari Cooper trade. Everything turned around. Everything worked in harmony. That's great. 2019, Dak's best year. Basically 3 receivers go 1,000 yards, I think. Insane production in that regard. Now you upgrade Randall Cobb with CeeDee Lamb, and you're just in a position where you look at it and you're like, this team is stacked. Maybe stacked enough now where even if you did have a Tony Pollard and another running back, you got to have like a decent guy to fit in there. But maybe your production and the money you save works better in that regard. But that's just my take. I look at everything that's going on. with the Zeke situation as far as the off the field distractions and problems, and then what I feel like his on field play looks like relevant or relative, I should say, to his rookie season. And like his 83-yard touchdown run against the Steelers on the screen pass, or his game winner 40-yarder up the gut, that's breakaway explosive Zeke. You don't get the home run ball from him anymore, and it's not just a matter of teams keying in on him, because they keyed in on him in 2016 as well. They had an unproven 4th-round quarterback throwing the ball. You don't think they were banking on Zeke? There's a lot to consider there, but I don't know. I'm hoping these distractions go away for Zeke, because he's got to get it right, got to get his mind right, and Dallas needs its running back for now. We're paying him. We got to get use out of him. So hopefully they can right the ship a little bit, because if they don't, I don't know. This season probably doesn't go as far as it can, because they don't have the investment yet in the plan B that they would have to consider if they don't have Zeke. My plan, as I said, would have involved making those adjustments, whether it was through the draft or a free agent running back signing or something like that. It would have involved putting things in place. Since you don't have that now, you got to lean in with what you got. So I'm off in the wilderness. Let me run through some of the comments here. I know I've been dialed in on this. Abraham Young, that was fast. Glad, what's good? Cowboys X Factor, what's up? Hey there, DDP. Congrats on the baby. How are things with you? Because I am doing fine. Baby girl is good. Baby girl. Yes, I don't even know if I ever announced it on here. I mean, not that it matters. Her name is Harper. So Harper is good. Very fiery spirit. Adorable little thing, but sometime in the middle of the night, almost every night without fail, she turns into a gremlin and I don't sleep. Ever. So that part's less than fun, but it's a phase. You just got to get through it as they get adjusted to a sleep schedule, proper sleep schedule. Glad. Wow, did not know that. Tough couple months for Zeke. That's crazy, says OG Stoneman 101. Jason Bryant, what's good? Leo Monks, what's good? First name, last name, what's good? He says, getting tired of this guy, always something with him. Talking about Zeke. There's very often something with him. And if he still was flashing that special talent on the field, I would feel different. But I feel like he's flashing very good talent, and I feel like you can find very good talent at a much cheaper price without the on-the-field issues. Bro, he honestly hasn't been the same since his rookie year. Same here. Tired of hearing about Zeke. Tony Pollard. Why would anyone entertain the idea of dumping Zeke? Why would anyone entertain the idea of dumping Zeke for a couple of first rounds? So you're saying like the team's offering us. Why would anyone offer us worthwhile assets for Zeke? I agree. I think at this point, you got him. You just got to run with it for now. You got to, run and try and hope that maybe with the additional firepower and the new offensive play calling philosophy and strategy system, all that you can use him better and that you can get more out of him than Garrett could. If Zeke flips a switch and suddenly is a dominant special running back again under Mike McCarthy, hey, I'm sold. All I can speak to is what I've seen his entire career, which was as a rookie, special, phenomenal. If not the best running back in the NFL, certainly like the second. Since then, it's been diminishing returns, in my opinion. True, he lost like 7 steps after a rookie year. Wait, does faded mean drunk or high? Asks Uzi E. Depends on your definition, honestly, but it apparently can mean both. When I heard the term, I understood it as high. Now, it's not a term that I've used, but I understood it as that, and then I saw Zeke push back against it, and so I kind of looked into it a little bit more, and I was like, oh, okay, well, there are examples here of people using it for drunk. That, to me, sounds weird, because I think faded, when I think faded, I think of like when you're so high that you almost feel like you're not necessarily in your own body. Like you almost feel like you're lighter, like you're almost lifting up a little bit. That's when I think of fade, like you're fading almost away from yourself, it feels like. I've never felt that way when I was drunk. When I'm drinking, if I'm really drinking, I feel like I'm getting lower. I don't know what the opposite of faded would be in that case, but that's how I feel in that case. So it's not how I would have used the term, but it appears to be plausibly how he uses the term. But again, I don't know if that was actually what he meant or if he realized it, saw it, and just saw how he could spin it instead. It's hard to say. I've always known faded to mean high, says first name, last name. Yep, tipsy is drunk, faded is high. Yeah, tipsy, I definitely know. Even though weed is legal in the NFL now, I feel like Goodell will do something to try and get at Zeke. He might, just based on the number of things he's seeing at this point. It wouldn't shock me. But, man, the NFL, with the season looking like it is, with everything going on, they're really being lax. They continue to just give the Patriots like slaps on the wrist for outright cheating. Other domestic issues, they're either declining to suspend anyone at all. Like, they've never clamped down on anyone the way they clamped down on Zeke in 2017. Really started in 2016, but finally, turned the screws to him in 2017. They've never done that with anyone again, the way they did Zeke. And I don't know how much of that was response to seeing the negative perspective people had towards them about that versus just the fact that they're not a Dallas Cowboy, and so they don't feel like as focal and prominent of a figure. Ennie and Duca, what up, Ennie? Can't keep up with slang nowadays. I agree. Damn it, I wish I knew you streamed about the Mavs being a dark horse to the finals. It'll drop on the channel. It'll still finish processing and throw it up there. It was about 20 minutes talking about an Avery Johnson quote from, I think, today, maybe yesterday. Zeke needs to cut his hair. He's got a crazy look going, but to each their own. I can't speak about it because until a couple of weeks ago, my hair was down to my shoulders and did not look good. It's kind of just laziness that I let it grow out for. I have a sports theory with hair and greatness, but it's mostly with the NBA. Interesting theory, Annie. I'll have to hear more about that. Zeke is honestly a dumbass who's good at football. There's a lot of those, and at other sports. Look at J.R. Smith, as he now gets another chance to go sign with the Lakers and play with LeBron again, probably on a team that goes to the finals. About to get rid of his jersey, man. This guy's always on something. Oh, man, you got a jersey, first name, last name, a Zeke jersey? Yeah, that's got to be a little tougher. McCaffrey got more than Zeke, and so will Saquon. Good call out there. I forgot about the McCaffrey deal. And yes, I agree, Saquon Barkley will get more money than Zeke. The market reset. So I guess the stance I took earlier saying no one will do that again, amended. I amend that statement. There will be guys who in some form or fashion get more. I think it might be that they get more guaranteed money, not necessarily more total money. I think that's just my gut prediction. I think that's the way it'll start to bend a little bit. Nah, Dalvin Cook, I don't think he will. If Lamb and Diggs don't start and get featured, I'll just watch Luka highlights during the season. Fair enough, Jason. Let's see. Got your own L.A.T.Lu reference. Gotcha. Are you going to have a problem every year with this Zeke? Oh, are we going to have a problem every year with this Zeke guy? Well, he got drafted in 2016, so 2016, 2017. Nothing in 2018. Actually, he was good that year, quiet, and that was a good year for him, and that was the best year we've had as a team in a while. 2019 didn't have any legal issues, couple minor things, nothing big. And now, here, 2020. So, 3 out of 5. Not great, especially when you take the total number of incidents as they pop up, the domestic allegations, the punching a DJ out at a club, and then running before the cops could show up, the ripping down a girl's top, or actually ripping it up. She was wearing a tube top at a St. Patrick's Day parade in Dallas. The dog mauling thing. There's just a lot of little incidents that pop up, and it takes you take note of it. When J.R. Smith faded is both high and drunk simultaneously. Always on Hennessy, too. But, all the same, I think that's going to wrap up my time for tonight, guys. I got to get back in there and help with the little one. But thank you for tuning in. I know this was a little bit of a different format. Instead of just doing one long video, I decided to do 2 different segments because, as I've seen, the majority of the people who want to see the Mavericks content don't really care to stay for the Cowboys content, and vice versa. There's a little crossover in there, but I wanted to try and divide it up clean for you guys so that even if you are there for one or the other, you don't have to click and then try and figure out where to fast forward in the live stream video to find where I changed and pivoted subjects. So this is what we're running with. I have an idea for what I want to do in the future for how I want to structure and format the show. I'm still working to implement that, but as it rolls out, I will let you know more about it. So that's going to do it for my time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Dallas Prospect, buy the t-shirts on represent.com, and until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Peace.